Good morning. I trust you slept well.
Yes, I did. Alright, and also, by the way, I moved the sort of Chapter 3 little intro animation to just after here, because personally, I feel like Chapter 3 should have started here, at the dawn of a new day, after all this has gone down. I'm still not quite sure why Chapter 3 starts, right as you head back, right after all this has happened. I feel like this is kind of a more appropriate place to break things off and sort of start off, a new episode and a new beginning for us and our investigations. So, hopefully you don't mind. Sure, how about you?
I had ample time to recharge my internal batteries.
Looks like Turing's in better spirits than he was last time. But that's not what I meant.
It is upsetting that Hayden is gone. But life for the rest of us goes on, yes?
Indeed it does.
We still have a mystery to unravel, and I will waste no further processing time over something I cannot reverse.
I suppose that's a good way of looking at it.
There is no point. Now that we are both refreshed, I feel it wouldn't hurt to recap our progress and determine if any changes should be made based on our successes and failures. Let's talk about how things are going so far.
Alright, so I think, I can't remember if this is in the original game or not too, but basically this is kind of like just a recap of, basically just reminding you of how you solved the various puzzles we've encountered so far, how you've interacted with the different characters, whether you've chosen, the total jerk-face options, or whether you've, tried to be sociable and polite and make friends with the people that you've met, and, who you've successfully befriended and who you've successfully driven off, etc. And it's a nice touch. It's not something every game does, and at least not until the end of the game. And I like it how they kind of just give you a sort of summary of how you've been playing this game. It's interesting to think about.
Since your journalistic efforts are a big part of why I originally recruited you, we can start there. Your inquiring mind has been a huge boost in our journey thus far.
I think that's basically, if you try and, ask all the different options, you talk to people, you ask all of the questions that you're given, or at least the ones that aren't redundant or don't just end with, no, I can't tell you that or something. So, we talked with Brian Mulberry a lot, we asked him all of our questions, we interviewed him, basically. So I think that's why I got this response. I don't know what really any of the different responses are, depending on how thoroughly you grill people, I suppose.
As a ROM, I can't talk to people as intently as you, so I must say I'm quite grateful for your skills in that regard.
Yeah, maybe you'll learn something. You'll become a hard-boiled, investigative journalist ROM after this.
You're diligent in your day-to-day work as well, which further grounds my hope in you.
Well, thank you for your confidence, Turing.
Beyond journalistic persistence, let's take a look at how we've performed in other responsibilities. Specifically, our choices in overcoming obstacles. I must say, our first hurdle was handled masterfully by you, and we avoided any further issue. Great start!
That was a really vague description of what the issue was. They basically didn't describe what it was. I'm not actually sure which issue this was. I think it might have been getting back into the apartment after it was cordoned off by the NSFPD ROMs. We managed to, sway Lexi to let us in.
Furthermore, I am pleased with your utilization of non-violent methods. Eliminating any excessive risk should allow us to move swiftly.
Probably for how we solved the protests outside the Genus Clinic.
Finally, I was quite impressed by your ability to adapt on the fly, as they say, and perform so well when thrust into a sudden situation.
Probably because we managed to get Chad and Oliver back in when they fled in the taxi.
Lastly, I'd like to discuss how we're getting along with our companions and allies along the way. It's important.
Indeed it is.
I was very impressed with your negotiation abilities with those kids. We got our data cache, and they went on their way, and hopefully learned a lesson too. Jess is a bit of a harder read, but she did agree to help us out in a big way.
She certainly did.
As long as her brash nature doesn't tempt you to lash out, I think things will go smoothly.
I doubt it will.
Detective Rivers was good to involve as well, and I can tell you enjoy having a familiar face around.
Yep, that's certainly true.
She could prove to be our greatest aid, as long as we make it worth her time. No funny business.
Alright, Turing.
Tomcat seems to genuinely care for our cause, and I have no trouble with letting their expertise guide us.
Yep, nor do I.
Out of everyone else, they seem to be easiest to get along with, too.
Oh, absolutely.
And finally, you and I must say, we have worked together better than I ever expected. I hope you feel the same.
Well, I certainly do. You're a pleasure to be around, Turing.
I feel confident in our combined ability, and I enjoy your company as well. Please, continue showing me around the city as we continue our search.
You bet I will.
Unfortunately, we've just about run out of leads. Perhaps Tomcat was able to find something of use in Parallax's network while they were inside.
Indeed. I'm sure they did.
I hope so, but I feel a little bad for relying on them as much as we do. Always going so far for Hayden. They must have been close.
Well, I'm sure we'll be able to repay them at some point.
Oh, speaking of them, incoming call from Tomcat.
Well, what do you know?
Forwarding video and audio.
Morning. Turing, how you been doing, hon?
I'm fine, Tomcat. Thank you for your concern.
Well, okay. Just say the word if I can help out in any way. You hear?
Of course. In fact, I was hoping you might have a lead for us to start working at. Otherwise, we're down to canvassing Hayden's address book and seeing if any of his contacts have an idea about who might have had a desire to target him. But that's just fishing in the dark.
Well, I pulled a fair amount of data from the Parallax servers before they managed to kick me out, but it'll take me a while to go through it. A lot of it's unrelated. TPS reports, maintenance logs, juicy meat for other corporations, but about as useful as dirt to us.
I think I saw in someone's playthrough of the original game that TPS reports is a reference to something, but I have no idea what. So
It'll take me a while to decrypt all of Hayden's files, but maybe we'll find something there.
yep, certainly a good place to start.
So no, I don't have as much as a whiff of a trail on who's behind this.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Though, I recently got a strange request from a friend of a friend.
Oh, interesting.
Someone's been messing with the articles of a news organization named Augmented Eye.
Oh, we read some of their articles at the start of the game.
It seems like the network security head there is asking around for cybercrackers to help figure out how their reports are getting changed.
Well, we're no cybercracker, but we can certainly investigate.
The original files on their servers are untouched. In their system, everything looks peachy keen. But when you view the site from the outside of the network, things are changed up. A word here, phrase there. It's subtle, but often has a big impact on the article's tone. Someone with deep access to Parallax's meshnet is changing what's being shown. I ain't sure if it's related, but maybe y'all can head down to the main KCOB offices and try talking to the gal that runs Augmented Eye. Her name is Zen.
Alright, well, it's something at least.
I ain't got the time or the desire to stick my nose that far out for a stranger, but it seems like your kind of deal.
Implying that I like going around helping strangers, which is certainly it's a very nice, very, very nice comment, but still a little bit odd.
It does seem to be a bit of a stretch. But if we have to wait for you to work on the data we've collected anyway...
We'd be happy to look into it.
Alright. I'll pass the word along that you'll be in sometime today to stick your noses in. And I'll send y'all word as soon as I get anything worth hunting down.
Excellent. Thank you, Tomcat. We are grateful for your continued assistance.
No problem, Turing. Are you sure you're gonna be okay? Maybe you should take a little more time. You've been through some shit in the past few days.
I said I was fine. Thank you for your concern, but I am fine. I have already handled the reality of Hayden's death. It's time to move on with the investigation.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. I'm just worried. So, I'm here if you need anything.
Understood. I apologize for my tone, Tomcat. We'll be in touch.
Alright, later, Turn.
Okay, we have a lead, however tenuous. I've highlighted the COS-IO Corp office building on your map.
Alright.
Also, while we were talking to Tomcat, I received an email from Dr. Fairlight.
You've got mail.
Displaying.
Greetings. I hope you'll forgive me for a voice-only message, but I'm undergoing my treatments and would not call myself presentable for a video call.
Makes sense.
Still, I wanted to inform you of an idea I had while looking into our mutual acquaintance's disappearance.
It's very, very business-like. Our mutual acquaintance. It's a very, very businessman-like phrasing. You can tell Fairlight, he picks his words very, very carefully. It's good writing. Really good writing. You can tell that he is definitely a seasoned businessman.
I haven't had any luck with my contacts inside Parallax, but I was reminded of an old friend by the name of Melody Flores, who may know more about the nature of Hayden's research.
Ah, interesting.
She's the owner of Flower Cybernetics, and Hayden has been known to work closely with them on projects involving the intersection of Parallax's systems and the implants that Flower designs. Melody and I are no longer on speaking terms, so I'm afraid I can't introduce you.
That's unfortunate.
But perhaps the intrigue of Hayden's little robot will get you entry into her home. I hope this lead serves you well. If you need anything else from me, I will be in and out of the hospital room where we met for the next few days. I will send word if I have any other insights or discoveries. Yours, Dr. Yannick Fairlight.
Interesting. They still they still sign it's a voice call, so you know who it is, but it's funny that he still signs it with like a signature and an ending.
Interesting. I had no knowledge of Hayden ever working with Flower Cybernetics, but now I'm starting to understand just how little I really knew about his research.
Yeah, it certainly seems like a decently solid lead.
Maybe this melody can reveal more about the purposes of my construction.
Alright.
Hayden must have kept my development secret for a reason. Hopefully we can talk our way in. I have highlighted Melody's home on your map.
Alrighty.
Okay, we can now either follow Tomcat's lead to KCOB, or Fairlight's lead to Melody's home. Up to you where to go first.
Alrighty. Sounds good.
Tomcat's led us in the right direction so far, but Fairlight has resources and his tip might end up being more relevant.
It does seem that way.
It depends on what you want our focus to be on in terms of tracking Hayden's trail. Should we follow the media or the tech? It's fitting. They're the two factors that make Neo-SF so unique and wonderful. If we explore them both to the fullest, there's no way we won't be closer to the answer.
Darn right. I really like it. They've given you a choice now. It's, you know, sort of branching off. You can make two decisions now. It's, you know, it's not a huge amount of choice in, you know, there hasn't been a huge amount of choice so far, so, you know, getting a little bit now is refreshing, and it's a nice element to add in, no matter how small. Alright, let's talk to Wilty. Yep, looks like he's gonna be just fine after all.
You really pulled it off. I'm impressed.
Yeah, well, I couldn't have done it without you there, Turing. Alright, let's see. Coffee. Why is the old why have we not emptied out that coffee by now? I don't know. Oh, who knows. Alright, so it is now a new recording session here. To be honest with you guys, I think I recorded way too much footage in advance. It's currently... This is the first time I've played the game since January 17th. It is currently February 18th. I haven't played the game for almost a month. I just had that much footage backlogged up. And there's actually still more. This is... The current episode that's up right now is episode 6 that just went up this last Wednesday. And it's probably going to be episode 7, 8, or possibly even 9 before, but probably more like episode 7 or 8 before any of this new footage goes up, so who knows. But anyway.
Ready to head out?
Alright, so I believe what we were going to do here is either head to Flower Mansion to talk with Melody Flores, as Dr. Fairlight suggested, or you're going to investigate some of these stories. So actually, I think last time I said we were going to head over to investigate the stories, but actually I feel like, although I don't want to trust Fairlight right now, I think I want to head over and go to Flower Mansion first, since at the very least I think that story is more closely connected. Well, what's up, Turing? Something wrong?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, right. I should also mention, I did get a comment or two mentioning that, you know, this isn't, you know, our character in this game isn't Solid Snake or something, so I don't need to do this voice. So from now on, I think I'm just going to use just my regular voice for voicing the character.
I was wool gathering.
Not quite sure what that means, but I'll look it up later.
I see we've arrived at the Melody Flores residence. It's quite impressive.
Certainly is. We got a statue, certainly somebody very wealthy.
But that's to be expected, considering that she is still the majority owner of the Flower Cybernetics Group, despite retiring from day-to-day operations at the company. I wonder how she and Hayden first began working together.
That'll be interesting to find out. Maybe we can ask.
Sorry, back on task. Is there anything you'd like to know before we head inside?
Well, thank you for asking. As a matter of fact, give me a rundown of Flower Cybernetics.
Flower Cybernetics was established in the early 2000s by Melody's mother, Antonella. It started out developing cutting-edge medical tech, including advanced prosthesis and nanoparticle diagnostic and treatment technologies.
In the early 2000s, I mean, I don't really have a vast knowledge of medical equipment, even in the early 2000s, but I assume that's something they're making up. I don't think we had nanotechnology at the turn of the millennia, but who knows? I could be wrong.
They were vastly successful when they perfected the first synthetic nerve mesh, allowing direct connection and control between the nervous system and a cybernetic prosthesis.
Yeah, that's definitely not turn of the millennia technology.
The majority of their early projects were defense technologies for the American military, developing ruggedized military prosthesis for use on injured soldiers, and then eventually electively for special forces.
Seems like a noble enough cause.
This research line culminated in the development of brain-controlled androids as shock troops, long since barred by international law.
I suppose that would also make sense.
Melody took over the company from her aging mother, and she fought against developing further military hardware from that point on.
So, change in perspective, it seems.
She pushed the company to use the BCA technology for the company's original goals of medical advancement, as well as developing the first direct link virtual reality implants.
Oh, so they were the ones that developed the VR implants. Interesting.
The company is largely successful on a global scale, despite continued legislative movement against extensive cybernetic use, especially brain implants.
Maybe they've got some clout, it seems. What can you tell me about Melody?
Not a whole lot. She's largely private, in contrast to her mother's penchant for courting a media circus.
Wow. So, apparently not like father like father. So apparently not like mother like daughter,
Several biographies of former Flower executives show her as intensely passionate about demilitarizing the company to the point of absolute viciousness in the boardroom.
Wow. Must have been a sight to see.
But it's been a long time since her days of fighting for the company, and she's since stepped away from the helm. There's talk that she's lost her spine in her old age, but...
Yeah, I somehow doubt it.
Well, I'd take that with a grain of salt.
Seems like Turing agrees.
She may have retreated from the corporate battlefield, but you don't change the entire direction of a company as large as Flower if you're a quitter.
That's also very true.
Stay on your toes.
Alright, I don't know if you have toes, but you should stay on them too if you have them. So, didn't Yannick say he and Melody had a falling out?
He did, and I can't shine much light on that. I know that System 1 worked with Flower to help develop the first operating systems for the direct link virtual reality implants, so perhaps it happened during that time.
So my apologies for accidentally advancing the text there. I have a very sensitive mouse, so occasionally I just accidentally click without realizing it.
Also, Flower eventually went with a different company for future models of the implant, but there was never any public talk of a personal falling out between the heads of the companies.
Makes it seem like it was a falling out that they would both like to perhaps keep secret. Perhaps something of a personal nature or something, I don't know.
I'll scrape the mesh for more rumors, but they'll only be that, rumors.
I mean, if we want to be really, really blunt, we could ask Melody herself.
I can do my best to parse fact from fiction, but it blurs too much for me to be sure what's real.
Another thing I should mention is that I will try to refrain from using my keyboard from advancing text and selecting things now, because in all of the past recordings I've had, you can constantly hear just a ka-clunk, because I have a mechanical keyboard and my spacebar is one of the loudest keys. So I will attempt to use something that I don't have to constantly try and edit the sound out of, because that was a real pain, and if I missed any bits, it was probably a little bit jarring for any of you listening, so I apologize for that. Alright, let's go ahead and head in.
No time like the present, then.
Although, actually, let's look around. Hello, tree. They're that stuffily pleasant to look at. They have the beauty of trees that have been cared for by only people who have been paid to do so. Is this another object that has a ridiculously long string of dialogues from looking at it and stuff? No more, no less. Okay, we've seen this. Okay, let's touch it. Is it plastic? Direct the mold. So are they plastic? I took Latin, but I don't know what that word means. I know the second, but, I mean, it seems like a compound word, like tree lives or something similar. I'm probably butchering that still, because I can't remember too much off the top of my head from Latin, but... Okay. I'm gonna keep going, though. Okay. I like just all these different things. Alright, let's shoot the heck out of this tree. Zap! Oh! Interesting, so we can actually shoot these. Let's do it again. Alright, so that's it. Interesting. So I can zap some things. The electro laser pistol has a use. Ladies and gentlemen, you saw it here first. Or, you know, maybe. Yikes. Well, I mean, it's possible. Okay. So yeah, most objects seem to just have two. Alright. Does this window know who I am? It awards me no points. I think that was a double reference, but I can't be sure. I mean, that'd be odd, but also cool. Alright, let's try and open it ourselves then. I never thought about it that way. Oh, well. Bear statue. I don't know. I suppose that depends on your personal preference. Oh no. Bear puns. Don't tell. Is this one of them? Okay, no. Okay, I was like, oh no, is this gonna turn into that chair from Stardust? But no, it doesn't look like it. Alright, is there a secret entrance here?
Don't destroy the Ursine aesthetic!
That aesthetic. Now, again, not sure why some lines are voice acted and some aren't, but... eh. Okay. 2 lines, let's see what we can do with it. Oh! What? Oh, it's that brick I picked up from earlier. Oh! Oh, that's a disappointment. You know what? I don't know. I didn't have the brick when I played through this part of the game in the original. Heck, I don't even know if you could have the brick, if that was even a thing you could have. But, alright, so we are going to start, okay, well, technically I can overwrite these two. I did find this out recently. Matt Kahn posted on his Twitter that there are, in fact, cheat codes that you can enter as when you enter your name at the start of the game, when Turing is asking you about it. You can actually enter specific names and phrases into the input screen, and it will, instead of asking you, well, it will first say cheat code activated, and then it will change Turing's color palette. It's actually pretty cool. I'm not going to show it here. I might, well, I'm not going to do it here, although I might bring up some footage that I recorded. So I'm actually going to leave those, I'm not going to delete over those. So what I'm going to do is save over Knock Knock, because I definitely don't need to re-record that section. That's usually why I leave so many backup saves, is just in case something goes wrong with recording, and I need to go back and fix something and re-record a segment. So... alright, let's continue. So now that is saved there. So now the mill, actually, if I'm about to destroy it, let's talk to it first. Oh. Oh no, game. Oh, I don't know if... Okay, I think I found the title of this video when it goes up. Oh. Oh no. Oh no, this is turning into the chair again. What have I done? Oh, I haven't seen this one before. The chair, I'd seen that before, so I knew it was coming, but this one... Ah, oh no. Oh dear. Yeah, you're right about that. I can't tell if they added these in or not. Some of these are actually some... okay. Yeah, some of these are getting pretty, pretty highbrow, like, specifically, like, you know, with specific terminology for bears and stuff. That's actually... these are getting some really complex puns here. Oh, really? Oh my gosh. They just about did, game. That wasn't even a pun. That was just meta. Oh. Just turning into Monokuma. Barret! That was a terrible Monokuma impression. I apologize. Okay, now we've looped. Okay, yeah. Oh, this one loops rather than just sticking to, you know, at least you care. Right, that took way too long. I might actually put a message in the video to what time code to skip to if you want to just skip all of those terrible, terrible bear puns. But I have to say, personally, I'm glad I watched. And if you did too, then thank you. Alright, let's bust this thing. Oh. I mean, it is marble. Well, I think it's marble, but, yeah, I suppose it'll take more than one hit. It's probably an expensive experiment. Oops. Okay, so it does that for both of them. I can't throw the brick through the window. Darn. Anyway, after all this... Let's melt through the locks with this milk. You know, you're probably right. Oh. That actually seems like a very smart law. Anyway, after all this just mucking around, let's finally go in and do some stuff. Well, hello there. I agree. I don't even want to know.
We meant no disrespect.
That face. I'm sorry, I just love that specific expression, just, Yep.
Your guess is as good as mine. Mine says we can go in.
I mean, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble if we can't, and so is the bear probably for leaving the door open.
Should we?
I mean, only one way to find out. Let's do this.
Oh, wow! Swanky!
I'm pretty sure, unless retro slang is making a comeback in 2064. Excuse me. Unless retro slang is becoming a, you know... Unless retro slang is... I can't speak. Unless retro slang is becoming... Oh, for goodness sake. Unless retro slang is making a comeback in the year 2064, I don't think swanky is in any way hip or cool. Swanky?
What? I have been trying to increase my usage of colloquialisms.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that colloquialism really isn't much common in the vernacular in this day and age anymore.
Is swanky too out of date?
Pretty sure it is.
It's certainly before my time.
Oh. That's... Who is the voice actor for you? I'm sorry, I just need to pause, and I need to look this up. Also, I think she's missing the top pixel of her hair's outline at the very top. I'm not sure. I thought she had that in the original, but I don't know. I need to look up your voice actor. Something about your voice sounds familiar. You sound... I don't know. Let me look this up. I'll be right back. Okay, so your voice actor is Erin Fitzgerald, who I think the only time I think I've heard your voice before that I can remember is she voices Junko Enoshima in Danganronpa. for those various, the English release anyway. So, that's definitely a different sounding voice. I mean, obviously, this is a voice actor, gotta have range, but, I don't know, just something about that. That was what I was suspicious of, and I didn't know why, but yeah, that is in fact the same voice actor. Apparently, she's also done work in a bunch of the Persona games and just an absolute ton, like almost 200 different things. So a ton of different games and other shows, but interesting. So I'm speaking with the same person as the person who voiced Junko and Ashima. Hopefully they won't have the same character.
Oh, Miss Flores!
But yeah, so Swanky is apparently very out of date.
Excuse us for the intrusion. My name is Turing, and
Oh, I know who you are.
I can explain. I know you don't like Dr. Fairlight very much, but I assure you there's a situation.
At no point did we ever say we were with Dr. Fairlight, and I'm pretty sure Dr. Fairlight didn't want to contact her to tell us because of that reason. Way to go, Turing, you've just given us away.
Fairlight.
There you go.
I didn't realize Hayden's research had become a charity case.
Ooh, sick burn.
Though I suppose little boy Yannick will throw money at anything that raises his profile on the mesh.
Kinda seems like it.
Wait, you know Hayden? Also, we actually only just met Dr. Fairlight yesterday.
Right, so you're telling it... Right, I don't know. I would have mentioned all of this information in a completely different order, so we don't get mauled by a bear.
Oh, that's too bad. Now Pat won't have to eat you.
Or get eaten by a bear. Right. Oh, is he disappointed?
What?
Though I'm not sure your gears would have been good for his digestion.
Oh, we already went over this with Bucket of Bolts.
Actually, madam, I'm not comprised of gears.
Well, either way, he's on a diet.
A non-people diet? Or just like an actual diet? That face.
This philosophy is how I lead my life. Sometimes you eat the bear, and sometimes the bear, well, he eats you.
Okay.
Do you understand?
No? I mean, maybe, I'm not sure.
Not really.
Turing doesn't even get it.
Look, I don't have all day to entertain you, Turing, nor your new friend. Not even for Hayden. You don't have time to waste if you're going to find him, either.
Wait, how did you know that we were looking for him?
Right.
Right. Hello, Teapot. Is that so? Let's talk to it. What? Okay. Strawberries. Let's have some. Oh. Zap them. Wow, really? Fantastic. Pat. Hello, Pat.
Melody keeps unusual company.
I'll say.
Ursus maritimus, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, that I do know from Latin. That's, well, that's polar bear, or maritimus is only sort of polar, but I do know that that is the scientific name at least. Slightly inaccurate, but I suppose that there's, you know, the extent of the Latin language did not extend to areas where polar would really be you know, used, or a term that would be needed.
That might be why the temperature controls are set so low in here.
Yep, definitely a polar bear.
I wasn't aware you knew the scientific name of the species.
Give me some credit here. I am a hard-boiled investigative journalist. Metal Gear. I don't know, I still kind of like this voice, but...
Ooh, has my interest in proper nomenclature started to rub off on you?
Maybe? Also, yeah, he's a white bear, Turing. What else could he be?
Plenty. Have you heard of a Kermode bear, also known as a spirit bear? Or he could be a white-phased black bear, or even a pizzly.
Oh, what? What? Okay.
But he's not. It's a polar bear.
So I'm right regardless. What is a pizzly? I'm gonna have to look that up later, too. I just want to pet him! Oh. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's true. Hi, Pat. So, grr and stuff? I guess he doesn't understand. I forgot about that line. So does a bear you know, never mind. He's like, oh. Pat, what are the burdens you bear? Oh, he doesn't get that either. Pat, what is the meaning of life? That face. Woof? No response. Okay. Right. Hello, cat. Oh, it's a robotic cat. Whoa. Can it still drink milk? You know it would. You know what? Screw it. Darn. Alright, hello. I'd imagine so. Oh, well, hello, Lily. Double humorless. Oh, it's a ROM. Hello. A Rosie 893 unit. Hello. Oh. Anyway. Have some milk.
That's gross, dear.
It is. Have a brick. Yeah, I suppose so.
If you were one of Fairlight's worker bees, you wouldn't have made it through the door. So why are you here to badger me about poor Hayden?
You have me at a disadvantage, Ms. Flores. You seem far ahead of us on this matter.
Yeah, she kinda does.
Just call me Melody, darling. And of course. But I'll share a secret or two with you.
I have so many questions. Do you know what's happened to Hayden?
I wish I didn't. Maybe you don't want to either.
Oh.
Please, Melody, any information you might have. We haven't had access to any of his research notes, and couldn't track down any collaborators he may have been working with. Perhaps if we know more, we might be able to nail down a solid motive.
Well, I don't know if I can speculate on that, beyond the usual corporate infighting. Not that Parallax is known for that, of course.
Well, I'd imagine not.
We had been catching up recently, and he mentioned feelings of being watched. He started to worry he had been discussing your development with the wrong people.
So this might in fact be about Turing. Well, I mean, that is what we suspected, but got a little bit more of an idea now.
When he stopped returning my calls, and now that you've shown up with a total stranger, it becomes clear what happened.
Yeah.
I see. Can you tell us anything else about his disappearance?
Oh, I'm afraid not, dear. I've been around long enough to know what's coincidence and what isn't.
We were hoping you might be able to shine some light on my origins.
Yeah, that might be helpful in finding out some information.
Fairlight mentioned that you had worked with Hayden in the past.
I see Hayden didn't neglect curiosity in your personality makeup. Well, you and I haven't properly met, but considering how often Hayden badgered me for design schematics of Flower's latest neural implants, I might as well be your aunt?
Aunt Flores, or Aunt Melody, depending on which you would prefer.
We'll go with that.
Alrighty then.
I wouldn't mind being an aunt, even to a blue-headed robot.
I'm touched, Melody.
Well then, I'm willing to answer your questions, for now.
How did you help Hayden with Turing?
Indeed, I don't see the connection between your company and Hayden's research into machine sapience.
Oh, Hayden wasn't researching machine sapience. At least not primarily.
What? But I thought that's what everybody else was saying he was researching primarily.
Not to diminish the importance of your creation, Turing, but it's best you know the truth. Hayden is mainly interested in developing a way to transfer human consciousness into a machine matrix.
Oh. Whoa.
You can see why neural implants would obviously be an integral part of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I didn't realize.
How would Turing's development help with digitizing the human mind?
The concept of transferring the human mind into a computer has been an attractive goal for decades.
Yeah, that's certainly true.
Functional immortality is a powerful lure.
I suppose it would be.
The brain is an immensely complicated machine, and even though we know the right buttons to push to make pictures show up, we still can't replicate the entire thing as a technological construct. Even with the virtual reality implants, we're really just relying on the brain's ability to make sense of nonsensical signals.
That's kind of how it works.
So Hayden decided the best way to make a machine more like the human brain would be to work in the opposite direction.
Oh.
Instead of mimicking how the human brain worked, he started writing code that mimicked the functioning of the human mind.
So rather than mimicking its physical function, he tried to mimic the end result of the physical function.
Think of it like convergent evolution. Two species adapt in similar ways. but on completely different continents.
It's another interesting way to think about it.
Hayden is a crack programmer when it comes to information collating. It's why Parallax hired him when they did. So he wrote a bunch of self-modifying learning algorithms that were, frankly, baffling and let them loose.
Let them loose where? That doesn't sound like that sounds like the plot to some sci-fi movie.
Poke and prod them here and there to make sure they value the same things humans do. And we eventually end up with you, Turing.
I see.
Interesting. Hayden never revealed any of this to me.
Yeah, it seems kind of odd, but I mean, I suppose he could have thought, it would, if you had, kind of this meta knowledge, it might kind of spoil the sort of purity of the development itself, I suppose.
I imagine he's pretty tight-lipped. You were the first prototype he considered a real success, and he was afraid of contaminating your development before he had a chance to make good observations.
Yeah, as I thought. Can you elaborate on your involvement?
Phew, if you can even call it involvement.
What would you call it?
It's a small city. And if you're in the tech sector, you are never more than 2 degrees removed from anyone else. When he started looking into this pet project of his, he came right up to my door and demanded access to the research logs behind our earlier implants.
Demanded, you say?
Cheeky, but it was impactful and disruptive, as they like to say around here. I couldn't care less about Flowers' patents anymore, so I gave him what he wanted, just to see what he would do. I'm frankly more impressed than I expected I would be, but don't tell him that.
Don't worry,
Oh,
I won't.
yikes.
Oh, that was a compliment, dear.
Still a bit too soon, I think. So, Hayden wasn't interested in Turing's development?
I didn't say that. Hayden was quite interested in Turing, even if he is just a step to further research. In fact, he was preparing to publish his findings involving Turing, and I know it's going to make one heck of a splash in the scientific community.
Well, yeah, machine sapience. It's quite a breakthrough.
See, the most impressive part about you, Turing, is that you're surprisingly stock.
Really? I thought we were saying... Even Turing mentioned how his processor is much, much faster than a standard ROM. Well, unless it means more like a house, compared to a household one as opposed to, maybe a business grade or an enterprise grade ROM, perhaps.
I assure you, Melody, my construction involves only the latest and greatest in ROM prototype technology.
Exactly. You're not off the shelf, but you're still just a souped-up ROM, more or less like every other one out there.
Yeah, and all that prototype technology isn't going to be prototype forever. I mean, unless it fails, but it seems like this is working quite well.
Your personality algorithms are impressive, but they don't require some new space-age technology to work. Hayden is going to propose that human consciousness transference does not require special brain-like hardware architecture, but merely the right software wrapper to interface with the hardware. Much like how you function.
Interesting.
I suppose that is correct. my personality matrices do take up substantial amounts of my processing power. Wouldn't custom hardware have capabilities that better serve such a demanding specialized task?
Sure. There's still plenty of reason in trying to make a computer that works just like a human brain. Efficiency is an important part of that. But if Hayden can emulate the human mind in existing technology, it means we can start the immortality now, rather than waiting for hardware to catch up with Hayden's software. Frankly, I'm not terribly interested in living forever, but there's more than enough people who are.
Very true.
Thank you for this, Melody.
Alright, this is good. We're getting a lot of backstory here. A lot of
I
info.
understand so little of my origins.
Well, we're getting a lot of info here, so eventually, hopefully we can shed light on all of it.
Well, I'm sorry I don't know more of the specifics. Hayden kept me up to date on his progress, but only in the vaguest of ways. If you can hunt down his notes, I'm sure they'll tell you more.
Of course, we'll keep looking. Now, perhaps we could ask some other questions?
Sure.
What's the story between you and Fairlight?
Oh, hell, that old bastard and I have been flashing daggers at each other for the better part of 20 years.
Wow. So maybe this falling out wasn't such a sudden thing after all.
I contracted out the software development for our first-gen direct link VR neural implants to System 1. Things were going great, but after the first models sold like gangbusters, Yannick tried to get into bed with me. Literally.
Oh. Yikes. Yeah, that I could see where the disagreement came from.
I turned him down. Very politely, I might add. And then, suddenly all of the cooperation between our companies dried up.
So we have some ulterior motives, I see.
We've been at it back and forth ever since. I'd be damned careful about trusting him if I were you.
Yep, that's what I've been thinking myself.
He's a snake, and he'll do anything he can to get what he wants. Still, I suppose if he tried again now, I might not turn him down.
Okay.
It would be fun to needle him about me still having my own company when he doesn't have his.
Okay. I think that's everything we need to know, and possibly a little more.
Good. I can get back to my retirement.
Thank you for your time, Melody. We'll be in touch later.
Oh, one more piece of information for you, if you'd like it.
Sure.
I've got the contact info for a Vincent Mensa, who I think might be of help to you.
Really? How so?
Vincent was working more closely with Hayden inside Parallax, mostly on his company-approved research on data collating algorithms for the mesh.
Interesting. So he might have more information on other things, and possibly even Turing.
I'll send him a message and ask him to meet you somewhere.
Alright, fantastic. Thank you.
He owes me a favor anyway, and might be able to give you some more information on anything else Hayden may have been working on.
Alright.
That would be fantastic, Melody. Perhaps Golden Gate Park?
Be careful, Turing. I don't like Fairlight's stench all over this scenario. Don't show him too many of your cards.
Alright.
Cards? This euphemism is unfamiliar to me.
Poker, Turing. Poker.
Don't tell him anything if you can. Fairlight is more dangerous the more he's informed.
Thank you, Aunt Melody. Wish us luck.
Alright. Bye, Pat. Here, do you want some milk? Don't feed the bears. Okay, fine, you can feed the bears, but anything except that. Let's feed him a stun laser! What? Wait, did I actually shoot him?
Run!
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh my gosh, I didn't think I could actually shoot him! What? Oops! Sorry! Sorry! My bad. Right, well, let's go to Golden Gate Park then. Oops! Sorry, Pat.